What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Daily Dose with Dylan Davis. We are streaming to you guys live through the Painted Lines Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube channel. So if you're new to the Painted Lines YouTube channel, please subscribe, turn on notifications, and like this video. Before we get started today, I got to get this out of the way because I completely bonehead move, forgot on yesterday's show, a message from our sponsors at XL Media.
Hey, what's up, guys? March Madness is here. The NBA and NHL are both in full swing. Baseball opening day is coming up, while we here at the Painted Lines are devoted to bringing you top-notch content from all the major sports. We are excited to also now give you the opportunity to cash in on all that content and knowledge. If you follow the link below, you will have the opportunity to sign up with BetRivers, an online sportsbook, and get an instant new user deposit match of up to $250. That's free money that you can use and try to turn into more free money. Let's go. Don't sit there and waste all that money. Turn every basket into an otherwise meaningless Cavs-Timberwolves matchup in on a random Wednesday in March. That makes it all the more exciting. For betting tips and advice, be sure to check out written content from our top prognosticator, Money Max, on our website at thepaintedlines.com, or check out the Tough Cover podcast right here on the Painted Lines YouTube channel. You've seen the commercials all over TV and radio, but now is the time. Sign up today with BetRivers using the link below and start cashing in on your love for sports. Using the link below will automatically inform BetRivers that TPL sent you, and you'll get that new user deposit match of up to $250. Don't miss out on this opportunity for some free money, baby.
There you go. Message from our sponsors at XL Media and BetRivers. Again, you are muted. The people could not hear your applause. There you go, buddy. But guys, as always, comment as much as you guys want to today. Join the conversation. Ask us anything you want. Phillies related, Sixers related, Flyers related, whatever you guys want to get into today. But today we are unpacking last night's Phillies come from behind win in the 8th inning over the New York Mets to improve to 4-0, just the 4th time in Phillies franchise history that the team has started 4-0 in a season. We'll dive into tonight's matchup versus the Mets. Chase Anderson makes his debut in the pinstripes against, I believe, Marcus Stroman for the New York Mets, who, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't pitch last year because he opted out during the COVID season. So it's been a while since he's seen Major League action. Phillies going heavy left-handed hitters tonight, so we'll break down the lineup and react to it. And of course, we know you guys want to hear about the team that's on the wall behind me. Our Philadelphia 76ers travel to Boston tonight to take on the Celtics. So we'll bounce around from both teams back and forth. And just a little sidebar here. The Flyers won a game last night, guys. Got 2 points.
Woohoo!
you needed to keep Boston out of overtime and catch and gain ground, but they didn't. So the Flyers are on the back burner for right now. So boys,
future.
Yeah, boys, let's start with the team in the pinstripes, and that is the Phillies. So last night they trailed 2-0 for majority of the game. They rally in the bottom of the 8th inning. Bamboo Brad leads off the inning with a single off the bench, pinch hitting. Kutch walks. Reese, single. Bryce, hit by pitch. JT, single. And then we all know Alec Boehm. Good things happen when you put the ball in play. Error by James McCann and whoever was at third base for the Mets last night. 2-run score. Didi hits a sac fly, 5-2, and then Alvarado shuts it down. He gave us quite a scare, but Phillies win 5-3. So let's get into Matty Moe's debut. You know, Matty Moe, Gint. And let's talk about the Phillies bullpen. But first, I just got to say, the Mets are going to Met, man. The Mets are going to Met. What are you doing? That is a Gabe Kapler move. That is a Gabe Kapler opening day move. They pulled Jacob deGrom after 6. He threw 77 pitches. They said he was going to throw 100, and he threw 77. We couldn't touch Jacob deGrom last night, and he threw 2 pitches the entire game. He threw a 4-seam fastball from like 99 to 101 through like 5 or 6 innings, and he hit Gene Segura with like 4 straight off-speed pitches because Gene just can't lay off of it, okay? That's the only time I've seen him throw off-speed pitch. They pull him after 6. Scott, oh, by the way, everybody, join with my man Scotty today. No, it is not a Monday. It is Tuesdays with Scotty this week. He was a little busy yesterday, so we booked him for today. Scott, how are you? How was your weekend, man? It was fun being at the ballpark with you on Sunday afternoon. And talk to me about what went through your mind when the Mets pulled Jacob deGrom last night.
Yeah, man. As far as the weekend goes, great weekend. Obviously, we got to see the Phillies get 2-3 dubs, between Thursday to Sunday. Yeah. And then, of course, the Sixers, we got to see Embiid come back on Saturday. So pretty eventful weekend. I had a buddy up from the military I told you about. We went to dinner and stuff. But the Phillies, man, last night, is it really the Phillies? I mean, the Mets just always find a way to blow it. You know what I mean? Between pulling DeGrom, then you mentioned, hitting Bryce with the pitch, and boom, and error, all in the same transitional phase right there of how the game turned out. So, a lot of it is the Mets just, like you said, they're Metsing or messing up is what I guess I should say. But
they're messing up.
But no, the story of this, season so far, mind you, it's only 4 games. It's got to be the bullpen, man. The way they're controlling, the end of these games and basically bailing the Phillies out in a lot of these situations. Because quite frankly, we haven't really got going on the attacking side at all so far this season. So thanks to the bullpen, which what a turnaround from the previous 2 to 3 seasons with that bullpen. And just how terrible it's been. But right now, the team is relying on them. Joe Girardi's, bringing the right guys in at the right time, and it's working out so far.
Yeah. The Phillies bullpen has now thrown 13 innings, given up 1 run. Before I dive into the bullpen, specifically last night, again, what were your thoughts on the Metsing and pulling Jacob deGrom? Because he was kind of your main talking point on yesterday's show, looking at this game dude, it's his first start. We don't hit him well at all. I just don't see how they can get it done tonight. And for 6 innings, you were spot on. And then no idea what went through his head.
You know how we always talk about Howie being the smartest person in the room?
Yeah.
They tried to pull the smartest person in the room move by pulling him. But, dude, just not the right move to make, man. 77 pitches. You're saying he's going to throw 100? Just a totally bad move.
Yeah, we have Marky Mark saying bullpen, 5 innings pitched, 1 run, 8 Ks. Filthy Phillies bullpen. So that is the main story. And we're going to talk a little bit about Matty Moe's debut and what we thought and some of our takeaways from that. But the bottom line is Matt Moore looked good for 3 innings. And then he came back out in the 4th and he completely, I was sitting here watching the game with my stepdad and I said, if he loses, you could tell, I think he walked the first batter and then he was struggling behind in the count with the second batter. I'm like, if he loses command of the strike zone, he's done because he doesn't have the stuff to get it by you. He can't blow anything by you. So he was hitting on the inside corners a lot of the first innings, especially with that cutter. And then he started to lose command. And I'm like, he's cooked if that's the case. That ended up being the case. He leaves the game, 3 1/3 innings pitched, down 2-0, bases loaded, got to dial up the bullpen, Joe. He brings in Kinsler. And now this is a spot where in the past, especially last year's Phillies bullpen, this game gets blown wide open in the 4th inning. Game over, night, turn it off, watch something else, right? Kinsler dials up a ground ball double play and gets out of it. No run scored. He goes out, pitches another clean inning. Sam Coonrod pitched well last night. Connor Brogdon pitched well last night. And then as we know, it wrapped up with Alvarado, who gave us a scare, but nonetheless, that's what saved it, right? That is my whole storyline. The bullpen's been everyone's storyline this entire year, and as rightfully so, right? They've already won a few games through 4 games that they wouldn't have won last year. They just wouldn't have. The 8th inning was great. The 5-run inning in the bottom of the 8th with 1 out, awesome to see. The bullpen is what won the Phillies this ballgame. Because, like I said, down 2-0, 1 out, bases loaded. They had to come in the 4th inning. And they keep it 2-0 until the 9th inning when the Phillies finally get something going in the 8th. That's the bottom line right there. They kept you in it. They gave you a chance to win the game. And when it was all said and done, the bats along with the Metsing came through, and the Phillies improved to 4-0. So again, what stuck out to you bullpen wise? Not just as a whole. Did anyone stick out to you? Kinsler, Brogdon, Sam Coonrod, Alvarado has now pitched, I believe, 3 games. He's kind of given us a scare in 2 games, but that dude, he's got stuff. He's got stuff, dude. He was like on his 22nd pitch of the 9th inning and was still pumping 101.
Yeah, so sorry, I lost my train of thought.
No, you're good.
I don't want to give one guy a shout out. Essentially, it's just like we talked about coming into the season that even if this bullpen was like not even decent, like all right,
average, yeah,
they would have made the playoffs last year. So I mean, for them to come in and shut the door on pretty much every single game so far, it shows you what this team could be, and that's why they're 4-0. You said it. That's the main takeaway from yesterday. So. And I love Alvarado. He's climbing the charts, dude. Just a big dude that is throwing heat.
He's got stuff. Jose Alvarado's got stuff. Scott, talk to me about Jose Alvarado, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much hit all the points on the bullpen. I mean, Alvarado's been, shaky at times, but at the end of the day, they resulted in wins. So you got to commend them for that, for escaping those, sketchy situations and getting out of them. That's also, part of the skill as well, under pressure like that. So great stuff we're seeing from them. You mentioned the matchup tonight. That's kind of where I'm focused on, as of right now. We got Chase Anderson starting tonight going against Stroman, as you mentioned. Part of me feels like the Phillies, they're 4-0, they're due for a loss. But then the other side of me is, like I said earlier, we haven't seen them explode with the bat yet. And part of me feels like it's time for that to happen. Track with their hitting, and maybe just have an explosion tonight. And that would be nice to see, to go 5-0. Obviously, you're asking a lot to go 5-0, but I think there is what I'm trying to say is there's room for improvement.
Sure.
You've seen, some pretty bad center field.
Right. It's not like the Phillies are 4-0 and they played out of this world to get to 4-0.
Exactly. Like we said, the bullpen has held it down. We had our 2 aces those first 2 games. But, it would be nice to see the hitting get on track tonight. Be nice to see one of our big hitters, knock one out tonight.
Yeah.
But, overall, just have to be impressed with how they're putting it all together. They're racking up wins. So that's what it matters. But I'll let you guys digress on the rest of that.
So we'll get to Matt Moore in 1 second. I do have a question to ask you guys. Rhys Hoskins, I know that's your boy, Scott. He's going to be big to this team's success this year. First inning against DeGrom, who seemingly after that mistake by Rhys on the base paths, shut it down. I thought it was gone. I don't know how the hell that ball stayed in the ballpark in the first inning. But again, were you like, so when Bryce tries to push it for an extra base and he gets thrown out and we love the hustle, was that like your kind of, did you just tip your cap to Rhys and you're like, I appreciate the hustle? Or were you kind of like, bro, stay at second base, take double against the ground with 1 out?
It's something called false hustle, in my opinion. And you see it a lot in it's more you've seen in basketball. It's a term like when the ball's going out of bounds, the ball already bounced out of bounds, but a guy goes diving into the stands.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, everyone clap it up for him. You see like little kids do it all the time, but you're right. You have to just stay on second base there against the guy we talked about all day yesterday, big almighty Jacob deGrom. You can't do that.
You can't.
And you get to know who you are. Like, you're not the fastest guy in the room. That's for darn sure.
Not the fastest guy. Rhys got chucked by about 8 feet. Okay? The third baseman had the ball. He's like, come on. Just sitting there waiting for him, okay? So I appreciate the hustle. Maybe it is some fake hustle, but to your point, you just got to take you would have had runner on second, 1 out to start the game with Bryce Harper and JT coming up. You just got to keep it there, man, and trust who's behind you and not try to force it into 3. Again, great relay by the Mets. I mean, tip your cap a little bit. It was a great relay throw, and then the throw from the cutoff to third base was right on the mark. So who knows? But That was one negative. Also, some people didn't get the memo yesterday again. So me and Abe, Honest Abe, were talking on Twitter in the beginning of the ball game, and we were like, two things I hit on yesterday. Of course, the Phillies definitely didn't watch the show because I discussed great defense through the first 3 games. Some mistakes last night. Some mistakes specifically. Ginsboy in center field. My goodness.
How said my boy?
What the hell is Adam Hazley doing? Matt Moore, look, I you can say he's a tough play, I guess, but it jumps up, ball hits him right in the mitt. Squeeze it, Matty. Squeeze it, Matty Mo. Okay, so the defense didn't get the memo for last night. And then Matty Mo also didn't get the memo when I discussed pitchers getting deep into the game. So let's get into that before we move on to some Sixers.
He was out of there by 7:45.
Yeah, he wanted to watch the national championship early. He had to get to the pregame show. So Matt Moore. Again, wait, that was another thing. So Scott mentioned going to 5-0. What is that stat you threw to me before the show?
I'm pretty sure it's 106 years.
It's been 106 years since they went 5-0. So
Yeah.
A historically bad bullpen last year could turn into an historically great start for the team this year very early. But Matt Moore, like I said, what did you say again? 4 hits, 4 walks, 2 runs, 3 1/3 innings pitched last night. Just get you guys, Scott, I'll go to you first. Give me your thoughts on, not because we know what the outing was from Matt, but do you expect Matt Moore to get it right going forward?
So what I'll say, I guess, is we can't overreact, right? I mean, obviously not a great performance there.
Yeah.
But it was the first start of the season. You're coming off back-to-back, great performances from your 2 aces. So it kind of put Eflin actually played pretty well too in the game there. So it kind of put a lot of pressure on Moore following up those 3 performances. So I'm willing to give him another chance. We'll see what he's got. But I noticed the same exact thing. You were texting me during the game, Dylan.
Yeah.
And you texted me in a good light at first, and then in a bad light, kind of to follow up and be like, maybe not. So he obviously gave us some looks at the beginning of the game to give us a little bit of hope there, but to watch him crumble that fast, it's pretty ridiculous.
Well, it just has me thinking, and again, you can't overreact to one start. And he only gave up 2 runs. It's not like he put the Phillies out of reach. They still were able to win the ball game. He only gave up 2 runs. But my thing is, with young Spencer Howard kind of lurking in the shadows, if Matt Moore continues to not get deep in the games, well, then you're probably going to see Spencer Howard up in the major leagues this season or in the middle of the season. Again, what are your thoughts on that before we move on? On Matty Mo.
You kind of covered it. You don't want to say he's quote unquote unpitchable now. It's only 1 start, but I said to you guys before, that just gave me Vinny V vibes, man. That was a little brutal to watch.
I thought Vinny V was coming in last night. I thought Vinny V was entering the ball game.
Vinny V better only pitch when it's, if God forbid, but a 9-0 game in the 4th inning, and we just got to get this thing over with. We just toss Vinny V out there to make it 13-0.
All right, I completely agree with you guys. Not going to overreact, but I just need to see, because the thing with Matt Moore in Japan was he was kind of like a workhorse. He threw a ton of innings. He 8 innings, and then you see last night, and I'm like, this guy. 2nd inning, I'm like, Matt Moore or Cy Moore, and then little do I know, 20 minutes later, I'm like, get this guy out of the game now, Joe. But the last thing I want to say, and again, we're only 4 games in. I'm not overreacting, but I was listening to John Kruk a little bit on the postgame show as well, and I just had the same feel. Like something just feels different. Like the aura around this ball club so far is just different than years past. And not even just last year with the historically bad bullpen. The Phillies haven't made the playoffs in how long, guys? A decade almost. So it's been a while since we've seen good baseball. And when you listen to Reese and Bryce talk about how they're having fun, there's rumors out there that they've, deservingly so, they've been kind of disrespected in the past couple of seasons, but they feel like they're being disrespected. And, we sit here and talk like, oh, if they have a decent bullpen, they're a playoff team. Well, it's starting to take shape, and it's shaping out beautifully so far for this Phillies team. So we'll get back to the Phillies and we'll get back to the Mets in a little bit. And we'll talk about tonight's game and Chase Anderson's debut. Hopefully it goes a little more smoothly than Matt Moore's debut went. But let's get into what I think a lot of people want to discuss, and that is our Philadelphia 76ers. As I said, they're in Boston to take on the Celtics tonight. I think the Celtics have won like 2 in a row now. Evan Fournier is out, I believe, tonight, as well as Tristan Thompson. We know they traded Daniel Tice. So, let's just kind of dissect this game as best we can, man. I feel like it's been a while since the Sixers played Boston. I'm not sure how long it's been exactly, but it feels like a while. And a guy that was off the floor as well, that it feels like it's been a while since we've seen him dominate a game. And that's my first key to the game. Feed the big fella. That's it. Dude, who's starting for Boston tonight? Robert Williams at center. They didn't have enough bodies to throw at him before when they had 3 centers. No Tice, no Thompson. Robert Williams is the starter. Feed 2-1 from the opening tip. Let him, let him get kind of get going early. And play to the refs. If he can bully Boston early and assert himself, that's the word I was looking for that I was struggling to get out. Let him assert himself early in this ball game and show his dominance early in this ball game, and I think you'll be good to go for this one. Scott, what is something you're looking for tonight? What is a key to tonight's success for the 76ers?
Yeah. Well, first, just to follow up on your point about the Phillies and something feeling different, it's very similar with the way it feels with the Sixers this year.
Okay.
You're seeing them win in tight spots where it used to be they would blow those games, where now it's kind of flipping in reverse, and these are games that they're winning in crunch time. So just to kind of hop off of that point,
sure.
But great point with Embiid. They're in trouble tonight. I mean, Robert Williams, he's probably their best, most athletic option at big, but he's going to get in foul trouble in the first half. He's not going to play a lot in the game, to be quite honest. Embiid is he's similar to Harden in the way he draws fouls. It's ridiculous how many times he goes to the line. You saw it against Minnesota. Yeah. But, what else I'm looking for, man? And I know this is probably like beating a dead horse. I just want something positive, a positive game from Ben Simmons all around. I want to see him, really kind of get back on track. That game against Memphis was really disappointing. So there's a couple things I'm looking for here. Obviously,
we'll get into all of them.
Yeah, you want to get the W against the Celtics, of course. But there's just the little things within the game that I'm looking for as well. Getting Embiid comfortable and getting Ben Simmons involved on the offensive end.
That is another key to my game as well. Get Ben back on track. Again, what do you got for us? Or you can go off those points and, kind of just discuss how they can get Embiid involved.
To get him involved, you just put him on the block, put his hand in the air, throw it to him, and then he's just going to put it in the basket. But no. But just to go off the Ben point, it doesn't need to be an explosion for 25 points. It doesn't need to be – it needs to be the look he had when he went on that run where he had 42 points against the Jazz. And that's not saying scoring 40, but it's like he just had that look in his eye. And that was on both sides of the ball. I feel like during this little like slump that he's in, even on the defensive end, he doesn't look as tenacious. He doesn't look as aggressive. He's not putting guys in the penitentiary that we talked about in the beginning of the year. So – there's no better place to start than Jason Tatum, right?
So just to go off that, and I said it yesterday, and it's like, people don't want to say it, and I really don't even want to say it, but when you look, non-aggressive Ben on offense is something we've seen at times where he goes through slumps, and it's like, come on, man, like just wake up. But defensively, you don't normally see that again. Is that a telling sign that he is battling an injury of some sort? Like the offensive part, I would understand, like it's mental or whatever. the defensive side of the ball, because you're not the first person I've heard say that about how he doesn't look as locked in defensively. Is that a telling sign that something else is going on? Do you guys think?
I don't want to believe that he's injured, because at that point, just say it.
Right.
Like, they sat him in the Sacramento game. Like, so just if he's hurt, don't play him.
Right.
But so that makes me think he is okay, especially with the precautions this team has taken in the past. There's been a lot of them. So yeah, I don't think he's injured, but I think it might just be frustration. I mean, he's missing shots that he's clearly frustrated when he gets to the rim and he can't put balls in that are. When I say like they're layups, I mean they are layups, and he's struggling with touch right now, and so I mean it could just be a case of frustration. But the thing was when he was struggling at the beginning of the year, that didn't change on the defensive end.
Exactly,
he was
that's
still
my
absolutely clamming people. So I don't want to think it's injury. Maybe it's frustration, but who knows, man? But we need to figure it out.
What do you think, Scott? Because that's the main thing that I'm trying to hit on here is you don't see the lackadaisical side of him on defense. You're kind of seeing that a little bit right now. Why?
Yeah, I mean, there's always, just a slight chance that it could be that knee aggravating him. I mean, of course, there's a chance. And, quite frankly, maybe they just had to play them a little bit more than what he usually would have played on a stretch like that, with Embiid out.
Right.
But with that being said, tonight would be the perfect game, to kind of get him some rest. I mean, Boston is not this world-beating team. You could have a game that solely focuses on Embiid in the offensive end. You still got Toby there. And give Ben the rest. If he's injured, get him rest. I mean, we don't need him on the court playing the way he is. I mean, it would be better in that sense. I look at Memphis, and you hit it, Dylan. There's something up because you're taking 6 shots, and you're down 20-plus points. I mean, something's got to kick in there, pride or something. Where you're in the gym, just the rec, or the YMCA, wherever you're at, and your team's down by a lot of points, and you are 6'10" and athletic as hell, you at some point just say, I'm going to dunk on this smaller guy. I'm going to go through this smaller guy. And he just isn't making that choice right now. And it's concerning because, while some of those games we were able to win with him, not scoring the basketball, not being his normal aggressive self that we saw in the first half, when it gets to the playoffs and we get to these upper echelon teams like the Bucks and the Nets, it's going to be the difference, and it's going to kill us. And we'll talk about it all offseason if that's the way it plays out, man. So I'm not even going to bring it up, but we'll talk about it all offseason if he's the reason that we cannot get where we're trying to get to.
Sure, yeah. And I don't believe he's going to be. I agree with you. Me and Ginn discussed this yesterday, and 5 points, 7 points, 9 points. That's not acceptable in the playoffs. It's not. But my issue is with people. You guys can comment along and join this conversation because I know it's a trending conversation all over Philly sports media and social media right now. My issue with Sixers Twitter and a lot of people out there, I said this to Ginn before the show because he mentioned like he gave me his outlook on the win-loss column tonight, and I said like really like blah blah, and he goes, well, it also I was like, oh, you know like if X happens, the sky's going to fall again. Like if they lose tonight, the sky's going to fall again. And he's like, well, it depends what Ben does. And that point is a great point, and it bothers me, man, because while 7 points is unacceptable, Scott, I truly believe that these Ben haters out there, and I want to talk to Brock about this when we get him on the show later in the week. The Ben haters, the critics that don't do anything but criticize 2-5, I truly believe that they would rather see Ben tonight score 25 or 30 and the Sixers lose than Ben score 11 and the Sixers win. I truly believe it, man. Dude, they went 7-3 in the 10 games without Embiid. The 10 games, 11 games that Ben's been in this slump, offensive slumps, they've been without Embiid, and they went 7-3. Does he have to be better? Absolutely. But guess what, Scott? They maintained positioning in that to fight for the first seed. Where did you join this conversation when Gint and I right after Embiid's injury, and we were looking, I think they had a game on Brooklyn and 2 or 2.5 games on Milwaukee right when the Embiid injury hit, and we're like, oh, they're going to be in the 3 seed. They're going to minimum be in the 3 seed. Miami was surging. We're like, wow, like they could be in the 4 seed without Embiid. they maintained first place and won 7 of 10 games with no Embiid and with Ben playing as poorly as he is. So I get it. He's got to be better, especially come playoff time. But the critics, man, like, I truly believe they'd rather him score 25 tonight and we lose the game than him score 10 or 11 and we win the game.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing with it too is obviously the nights Embiid doesn't play is when you see 6 shots and you're like, dude, come on, man. And I understand the frustration because it is frustrating. But when everyone's healthy, how many shots realistically is he going to get?
Yeah, so, go ahead. So I don't think Scott heard this yesterday when you made this point.
Yeah, so it's like you have to think Embiid and Tobias are going to combine for almost 30 shots. You signed Danny Green and Seth Curry. How many shots? If the Sixers wanted a guy to score 20 points a game, they would have taken Brandon Ingram or Jaylen Brown. It's not what they signed up for when they took this guy. And I understand it is frustrating because we've seen it. He had 42 against People's Defensive Player of the Year. He's at times just put his head down and run through people and finished at the rim. And even when this jump shot thing, even if he doesn't ever have a jump shot, there is an aggressive Ben Simmons that could probably put up 20 points in this league. And that's without the jump shot. So to me, they just get frustrated on the nights he doesn't play.
Right.
And I mean, we're not going to win without Joel Embiid playing, regardless of if we saw Ben score 42 without Joel on the floor, and we didn't win. So it's not – I don't see why people get so frustrated from that. So
D Goldmitten 1, you're new here. Would you enlighten me on the way that I think? Well, all I said was that people would rather – but he wasn't finishing and they were winning, so clearly you care. And clearly you care. I want him to finish more. You clearly missed yesterday's show. You missed all season long. I just told you it's unacceptable for him to shoot 2 for 11 in a game. You can't have 5-7 points out of Ben Simmons in the playoffs. My point is they went 7-3 with this slump, and people were bitching and moaning that he needs to do more. That's the issue. And I want to read this tweet going off your point, Ginn. It's from Rob Manoff, and he says, I want to preface this with the fact that I love Joel and the dude is a monster and the knee injury sucked. But how come we crush Ben because Joel can't play more than 70% of the season? And someone commented, and he said, that's exactly my point. Why is it acceptable that Joel can't play 3/4 of the season and therefore everyone's roles have to change and it's Ben's fault that somehow he isn't what this team needs, when in reality this team needs Joel to play more games and it's not a problem?
See, that's tough because you're not going to – we saw what happened to Embiid.
No. I don't think – he's not saying that. He was not saying, this is Embiid of the past where he misses, all that time for little nagging injuries.
So what you're saying, back-to-backs?
Not even that. Just the fact that, you mentioned the shot selection when Embiid plays and how they look when he plays, when they're all healthy. And he's saying, everyone's roles has to change. And Ben, everyone wants Ben to be that 20 to 25 point scorer. He's not that. You said that yesterday, Ginn. He's career 16.7.
Yeah. Go ahead, Scott.
I mean, my thing with Ben is, we're only asking him to be basically a third star at this point. 15, 7 and 9 or 15, 6 and 9, anywhere around there, just do it consistently is all I'm asking. If you're going to drop 15 a game, let's do 15, 16 a game and have that be, the baseline of his game.
Sure.
That's where it comes for me because Tobias has taken the next step. He's become the second star. He's obviously going to be the guy that's relied on behind Embiid as far as scoring. But, I guess what people get so upset with Ben without Joel, it isn't really about Joel. I mean, it's about Ben and him being the first pick of the draft and what your expectations of him are. And then all the comparisons that have followed Ben, the Magic Johnsons of the world, the comparisons, some people have said LeBron, some people have said Scottie Pippen. So these comparisons come with expectations. And so when you see that extended period without Embiid and Ben Simmons is only able to get 6 shots and 7 points, It's discouraging. Just to not see the next step. Even if the next step is only getting 15 or 16 points, I'd rather see that than single digit 7 points. To your point, Dylan, I think you're spot on. At the end of the day, it's not about him scoring 25 points, averaging 22. He doesn't need to average more than Tobias Harris. It's nothing like that. It's just about staying consistent, I think. And that's on the defensive end as well. Because like you said, again, I didn't want to say it out loud just because I love Ben Simmons. I really want him to be the best player that he can be. And he hasn't been playing the same on defense. It is noticeable, blind eye noticeable. But I really just didn't want to even say it, honestly. I didn't want to say that.
Yeah, man, Ben haters are just Ben haters. And that was my whole point was just like you watch them on Twitter and it's like okay, so they win and Ben's scoring 5, 7, 11. I know the other night they lost and he scored 7 or 5 or whatever it was. I get that. But before that, when they went 7-3 without Embiid and he scored 7 and 9 and 11, and that's not good enough. Well, they won the game. Well, what happens tonight when he is good enough and he scores 23, right, on efficient shooting, but they lose to Boston?
Yeah.
Well, then what's your tone then? That's what I want to see. Like, that's all. That's my main point. Is this? Go ahead.
I was just going to say that this is something like we haven't really have had in the past, in a sense of like Ben needs Joel like really badly. Yeah. It's really clear. And whether we want to predicate it on the backup center or Mike Scott trying to play the center position, that doesn't matter. But like we've had the past where Joel has always struggled without Ben, and it was just based on like who was on the roster. You know what I mean? But then Ben went on that 17-0 run without Joel, and it was like this, that, trying to separate them. But like right now, you're finally seeing like these two need each other.
Right.
And exactly. And at full strength with these two. And to add Tobias Harris in there, obviously, because Tobias Harris, like Scotty said, has been the second star on offense. He's been the guy that they relied on in the fourth quarter. But like, it's finally coming to fruition. Like, okay, these guys might be able to do this together, and we don't have to separate these two.
And I said that too yesterday, real quick, Scott, because on yesterday's show, I said again, like, everyone wants to talk about Ben, and it's like, look, this thing only works if both of them are healthy.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so I feel like in a lot of people's minds, they want to criticize Ben so much. And we've had people come on here and say that George Hill should start because Ben's not a true point guard and blah, blah. And in their minds, it's like Joel's good enough to no. And I know Tobias Harris wasn't that Tobias Harris. The roster construction was way different last year. Brett Brown instead of Doc Rivers. I get all that. But you watch Joel Embiid dominate the Boston Celtics and get swept.
Got swept.
How'd that team look without Ben Simmons?
Nobody could dribble.
What about
nobody can pass or dribble without Ben Simmons?
Right. And that's my whole point. So, they're not going to win without Embiid, and I truly don't believe they're going to win without Simmons. If Simmons goes down with an injury or, in fantasy world where a lot of people want to live, they want to trade Ben for a real point guard that shoots the basketball, I still don't think they're going to win. Yeah. They need both of them.
Yeah.
I agree. This person, Daryl, says, let's not worry about Ben scoring a lot until it happens more than once per month. That's the other thing. Like, so to your point earlier, Scott, what you were talking about, like being that 15, you're going to score 15 a game. Let's keep it consistent. And I agree with you. I get it. But I think like when slumps like this hit, people overreact because while I understand that he hasn't been 15 points recently, he's a career 16.7, 16.9 per game scored. So over a 4-year period or whatever, he's been a consistent 16 to 17 point scorer. So people take this small sample size and whatever the issue is, mental, aggression, knee, whatever the hell it is, needs to be figured out. We're totally on board there.
Yeah.
But can we relax?
Yeah.
Like the team's still in first place. If I would have told you, Scott, that Ben Simmons would play like this and they were missing Joel Embiid, you think would your answer be, they'll still be in first place?
No. And what you're kind of getting at there is basically, this relationship between Ben and the fans of the Sixers is like the criticism of Ben is purely personal. Like they have a personal vendetta against Ben Simmons. Because, like I said earlier, we all have our own expectations of what we think Ben should be and who he should turn out to be as a player. And what we're seeing is the personal side of things come out because Ben is not meeting the fans' expectations. Although we say Ben is in a slump, but the Sixers aren't in a slump. Right? The Sixers aren't functioning off of what Ben is doing.
They lost
one. Ben could have scored 16 points against the Memphis Grizzlies, but they lost by 16. They were down by 20 at one point.
Yeah.
So, as much as you want Ben to lead, you want him to do these certain things, it's like you guys said, the Sixers' fate relies on Tobias, Ben, and Joel Embiid. If any of those three aren't there, they're probably not winning against the Nets, and they're probably not getting to the championship. So you guys are spot on. It's a team thing. Set the personal expectations aside.
Agreed. And we'll all agree that we can't stand those haters, but
yeah,
he can't score 5 points in a playoff game. We're all on board there.
Because they're waiting for that. They're waiting for him to score 5 points.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, and I mean, who are we to say this? Because we're casual, like we're fans too. But it's just these casuals, dude. It's these guys that watch Steph Curry play and watch Damian Lillard play and watch him shoot for 45 feet. And it's worth 3 points. So this, that. It's never going to happen.
And
we all want it to happen, but it's just never good. You can say it looks pretty. You can say this. It's never good. The roster's constructed at this point to the point where he doesn't have to do it.
Yeah.
It's why they constructed the roster. Like
I could start a beef, but I'll save it for after the show and then tell you guys something about one of those casuals. But I won't do it on here. But anyway, let's get back to a more positive note. Not that wasn't a positive conversation, but just away from the negativity that surrounds Ben Simmons. One thing, a key to this game, getting Ben back on track is, you need to see it after the first quarter. That hasn't been an issue. It hasn't been getting Ben started early. Ben's scoring in the first quarter. He's aggressive in the first quarter. And then it's a downhill slope after that, production-wise. So can Ben continue to score post-first quarter? You're going to need him to. If he can't come out and score 7 or 8 points in the first quarter and then not score again another bucket until the final 5 minutes of the game. That's the part that agitates me more than anything. Like dude, I get it. Now, don't get it twisted. If he scores 8 of the team's first 10 points and then he disappears, but the Sixers are up 10 against Boston with 5 minutes left, Joel's eating, Tobias eating, Danny's hitting 3, all that's, you know what I mean? But if they're struggling offensively and he's only taken 2 shots in the second and third and fourth quarter, then that's where I get agitated. How do you you're the coach here. How do you get a guy who starts aggressive in Ben's case to stay aggressive from a coaching? What can you do? What can you draw up to keep the ball in Ben's hands offensively to keep him locked in?
Well, and here's where it gets difficult with him because it's not who he is. He's not a score-first guy. So
no, sure, I get that.
If he gets 8 right away, obviously the other team's going to make adjustments because it's the NBA. You make adjustments on the fly. And I think even Embiid and Tobias know in the back of their head, him scoring 8 points in the beginning only helps them. It makes things easier for them. It only makes things easier for Seth Curry, Danny Green. So and that's why we want him to continue to be aggressive, but in the back of his head, I think he goes, I've taken 5 shots this quarter. No, I can't kick out. Oh, no look. Something that maybe if he just stayed aggressive, that turnover that you see or something, or we had to throw up a shot clock heave because he didn't attack the rim. So that's why we're talking. He's in this slump, and it's dude, you're 6'10". Why are you fading away on a guy that's 6'4"? Just attack the rim and just so – I don't think there's something you could draw up for him because you can't draw up a pin down for Ben Simmons to catch the ball and shoot a 17-footer or shoot a 30-footer. It's not going to happen. So it's all up here for him, and who knows what's up there right now.
What are your thoughts on that, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's partly that, getting through the game and adjusting to the adjustments. But, part of it is also it's kind of what Gent was getting at is when I see Ben get an advantage in a mismatch, so like the Cavs specifically, when I was watching that game, I saw him get switched on to Darius Garland several times where Darius Garland is guarding him, and he has him close to the block. You can take him straight down to the block and go straight over him. Doesn't do it. Passes it out of it. Swings the ball around. Sometimes you do got to choose to be selfish. The other side of it, I think it's also Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid are already two guys that live in the paint. They live in that mid-range area. And in today's NBA, we need threes. You know what I mean? A lot of these games that we're going down early, it's the discrepancy in three-point shooting. So when you're going away from your most efficient two-point scorers in Tobias and Joel Embiid, you're going to look for three-point shots at that point. So I don't think there's a lot of opportunity as far as two-point land for Ben Simmons when you got two guys that are scoring at a clip like Tobias and Joel Embiid. So once again, to you guys' point, when those guys are there, don't need Ben to do all that, quite frankly. But it is hard for him to find his spots, I think. In a mid-range heavy, Tobias operates all in the paint there as well. So it is difficult for him to find his spots if he can't shoot from three there.
Yeah, so, appreciate you. Good show, guys. Thank you. And yeah, it's a hell of a day to be a Philly sports fan. I'm going to have to figure out my setup. A HDMI cord and another TV is going upstairs tonight. Abe says, I don't think we need him to be a scorer. We need him to take better shots and make better decisions on mismatches. He gives up on mismatches more than I want him to.
Exactly.
I agree with you, Abe. Honest Abe never tells a lie. One last thing on the Ben Simmons point before we get our predictions and stars of the game for tonight's matchup. Doc Rivers isn't going to throw him under the bus. And we knew that when he was making his comments preseason when asked on radio and in the media about forcing Ben to shoot, how much he cares about Ben shooting, yada, yada, yada. You saw Doc the other night come out and say, I really think you guys put way more stock into Ben's offense or scoring than I do. Does that have something to do with it? And do you guys think he's telling the truth, or is that just Doc being the coach, not going to throw him on a bus? Like, is it just Ben's role to run the offense, facilitate, score at the rim when he can? Other than that, be Ben Simmons. Go ahead, again, because I see the big ass smile on your face.
No, because he's going to come out and say, yeah, we don't need to do this, we don't need that. But, you can't tell me in the back of his head the coaches aren't going out to dinner and he's going, why the can't this guy just dump the ball on the 6'3" guy? But no, I think he loves everything Ben's bringing. But, in the back of his head, he has to think, oh, man, if this dude could shoot a 15-footer, we'd be 42-2 and this, that, you know what I mean? So that's why I'm really glad we're winning. You know, because because we brought up in the beginning of the year when the Nets were rolling, they had Kyrie Irving, Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, Kevin Durant. It was things look really good right now, and they're winning. And then when you start to lose, that's when you start seeing these fly around. No, he's not doing this, he's not doing that. That's why we're losing this, that. So, because if we, and I hope we don't, but if we start to lose, that's when you'll start seeing. You could start seeing. You might not, because the vibe is great in the locker room apparently. But you could start saying, oh, well, if Ben shot, Doc would have much more wins. Or if Embiid could play more games, Ben would have a much better season. So right when you said that, I just started laughing because I was like, dude, he has to go out and just be like, man, if Ben could shoot the ball, dude.
All right. We do have to preview the Mets-Phillies in the final 10 minutes. So, Scott, let me get your predictions for tonight's Sixers-Celtics game and give me a star of the game, your Daily Dose standout player for the Sixers.
All right. Yeah. So I got the Sixers tonight. You mentioned that the Celtics are coming off 2 wins against the Rockets and the Hornets. If that's a step in the right direction, good for them. But you're going against Philly tonight. We're coming off a bad loss against Memphis. Joel Embiid is back. We're going to get this W. Joel Embiid is going to be the star of the game by default because they have literally nothing for him. I hope to see something from Shake as well. We didn't talk about Shake today, but I'd like to see him follow up. He had been playing pretty good up until that Memphis game, so I'd like to see some good stuff out of him.
Again, predictions and star of the game tonight.
They're going to win. He took Embiid. which he's going to be the star of the game, but I'll take his default. I'll take Ben and hope he can kind of put Jason Tatum where he belongs and 17 points on 37 shots. But
you're dying on that hill, brother.
Dude, one thing I really want to see them do. Oh, wait, no. Embiid's playing. Never mind. Scratch that. I was thinking, like, dude, they have no big men. They're going to go small. Let's cut the Mike Scott nonsense and play Tobias at the 5, but Embiid's playing, so that changes everything.
I agree with you. We're 3 for 3 tonight. I'm going I think the Sixers win. I agree with Scotty's point. Joel has to dominate tonight. I don't see any way, shape, or form he doesn't. Unless he just has an off shooting night from rust because he's only played one game back and then didn't play in the next game and it's Saturday to Tuesday off. Outside of rust and having a poor shooting night, there's no way he doesn't dominate. There's no way he doesn't have 15 or 14 plus free throw attempts tonight. I just don't see how that's possible with the big men that Boston's going to throw at him. Robert Williams has 4 fouls every game and he comes off the bench against Joel Embiid. So everything's going to be run through Joel. And outside of that, I think, again, obviously can't disagree with you. We really do want to see Ben get back on track and kind of just shut everyone up for 24 hours. That's all I want. A nice, peaceful night of sleep, not having to scroll on Twitter and see Ben slander every night. And then just to go differently, I'll go Tobias Harris because one thing that we've been talking about is, we see how great Tobias Harris has played. Can he keep up this level of production with Joel Embiid on the floor? And I say yes. And I think Tobias Harris goes out. And I think he also plays tough, strong defense on one of the other guard, whether it's, I'd imagine he'd get a Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum matchup, especially on switches and stuff like that. So on both ends of the floor tonight, Tobias Harris, strong outing. And I think all three of them play pretty strong tonight. Nationally televised game on TNT as well. So that'll be fun. Let's get back to the Phillies for the final 8 or so minutes here. Unless you guys have anything else you want to throw out about the Sixers Celtics matchup.
I think we covered everything that we can talk about.
All good? All right, let's do it, boys. So, Phillies, Mets. Phillies look to go start 5-0 if Gint's numbers are correct for the first time in over a century. That number's probably way off, and we sound really stupid here on the Daily News.
I might have to go back and double check, but I'm positive I saw that on Twitter, dude.
Don't fact check us, please. We don't know what we're talking about.
We're just guessing.
Yeah. So, like we mentioned earlier, Chase Anderson gets his debut tonight against Marcus Stroman for making his Mets debut. So a lot of new faces. The Phillies and Joe Girardi also making some lineup adjustments tonight. Rhys Hoskins out of the lineup. Andrew McCutchen gets a night off. So here is your Phillies starting lineup tonight. Matt Joyce leads off in left field, followed by Alec Boehm, Bryce, JT, Didi in the 5-hole, Gene in the 6, Bamboo Brad 7, Roman Quinn, my God, Lord help me, in the 8-hole, and Chase Anderson making his debut on the bump. One issue that sticks out to me, and I do love Joe Girardi, and I don't want to be this guy. Again, I said this to you before the show. I'm not a Roman Quinn fan. You follow me, you follow the show long enough, you know that, or you'll get to know that. However, if he's playing, why would you not? And McCutchen's out. Why would you not lead him off and just maybe see if he can get something going in the batter's box and use that speed on the base paths at the top of the lineup? I don't know. I don't know if Matt Joyce has any spring in those legs. I don't know how his speed is on the base paths, but that's just the first thing that sticks out to me with this lineup. But other than that, I do like flirting with the idea of Alec Boehm in the 2-hole. And then you're followed by Harper, Real Muto, Gregorius, Segura, the way it's always been. So yeah, heavy left-handers. I'm pretty sure Joyce is a left-hander. I think Bamboo Brad's a left-hander. Quinn's a switch hitter. Didi, Bryce, all left-handers against the righty Marcus Stroman. So we clearly see what Joe Girardi's trying to accomplish tonight in the batter's box. Real quick, what are your guys' thoughts on the starting lineup? Skint, will go to you first. Anything that sticks out to you, anything you like, dislike, agree with me, tell me I'm an idiot.
Yeah, I like what you said. I mean, if you're going to have him in the lineup, you might as well let him bat at the top and see if he can get his legs moving. But other than that, McCutchen had the day off, so someone has to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Abe Link with a hot take at that. Roman Quinn gets an RBI double tonight. I hope you're right.
Double.
Yeah,
double.
I hope you're right, man. And like I said, if I'm wrong, if that's what being wrong feels like, I don't want to be right. Scott, what are your thoughts on this lineup in Game 5 for the Phillies? Also, are you surprised that in Game 5 he's switching so much up already?
Yeah, I was gonna say, just looking at it, it kind of feels like a loss, but that's kind of what I was getting at in my head here. But I do like Bowman the 2-hole. He showed us some good stuff so far in last season, but you're looking at it, you're kind of like, I mean, if Stroman comes out, like you said earlier, Dylan, he hasn't played in, he hasn't like a season and a half, so. Maybe he comes out a little rusty and you can take advantage of that. I am looking at JT Real Muto's numbers. It looks like he has the most success against Stroman specifically. So that's something to keep an eye on in that starting lineup. But I think you hit all the notable points with the starting lineup there. We'll see how it goes.
So there's two things I want to look at. Obviously, the bullpen is going to be a storyline every night. We'll see how many innings they have to get, how many outs they need tonight. But I want to look at two things. A, let's keep looking at this lineup because, one thing that Scott has touched on and everyone's talking about, the Phillies are 4-0, but the lineup hasn't produced greatly. They haven't had that offensive explosion yet. Could tonight be the night? Again, what are your thoughts on that? We tried to predict one of the big guys going yard yesterday. Hasn't happened. Only one Philly has put one over the fence this season. That's Andrew Knapp, your favorite man in the pinstripe skin. So, is this the night where, they get right and Abe's saying it here, Bryce gets his first homer of the year tonight. What are your thoughts, Gint?
I'm kind of with Scotty here. I don't think it's going to be tonight. But like you said, Stroman hasn't pitched in a season and a half almost, he said. So maybe it could be tonight. But like Scotty said, man, you're just looking at the lineup and it's like, I don't know about tonight, man.
How impressive is it if they win this game?
No, tonight's like where it's like, come on.
Especially because, so winning yesterday's game was big for, again, what did I say to you on yesterday's show? You swept the Braves. Even if you lose this series and you only take one from the Mets, you're 4-2 to start the year versus the Mets and the Braves. But winning the first game again with the Grom versus Matt Moore now puts you in a position to where you lose tonight, you still have a chance to win the series tomorrow. Or if you win tonight, you get Nola versus their third starter with a chance to start the season out with 2 straight sweeps. Not trying to look ahead to tomorrow. They shouldn't be. Task at hand is tonight. But
and then we'll sweep the Braves, and then we'll sweep the Mets again. We'll be 17-0.
Right here, baby.
It is, man. That's what it's all about. But yeah, I think what you hit on there, Dylan, was the fact that they've kind of earned a night where they could rest some guys and get some other guys in there and see what they're looking like. So, tonight, if they can get the win, great. If they lose, then they're probably supposed to. So
come out tomorrow and try to win the series, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys, before we wrap up, Chase Anderson makes his debut tonight. We mentioned Marcus Stroman not pitching in a while. We saw how Matt Moore's debut went last night. Give me your thoughts on Chase Anderson's debut. Will it be better than Matt Moore's, or could Chase Anderson be in for a long night? Because this Mets lineup is a dangerous one at that.
Me first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I think you're going to see something similar.
This dude.
I think you're going to see something similar. Not the best start. I also think you'll see, like Girardi did last night, with the way the bullpen's pitching, it's a quick pull. Things start to get a little rocky. Yeah. Quick pull. Try to keep yourself in the game as long as you can. I don't think the Phillies are going to win tonight. It'll probably be around like a 5-2 loss. It's kind of the opposite of last night. But that's my prediction.
All right. So you got lost tonight. Scott, are you going lost tonight?
It feels like a loss. Yeah, I'm going to go loss. I think he probably can't be any better than Moore. Maybe he could be a little bit better, but they'll probably let him go, until it looks like he's out to get swallowed up there. And then they'll pull him early, like Gant said. But better than more.
Oh, Lord help my soul. Lord help my soul.
Tonight, I mean, it might be one of those nights. And
Dear God.
You know what this is.
All right, what do I want to do? Do I want to try the little reverse psychology trick here, reverse jinx, and agree with you guys?
You took them to win yesterday. Just take them to win again.
Yeah, I think I am. I love how this team's playing right now. They haven't had that offensive explosion. Marcus Stroman is a good pitcher. He's not Jacob deGrom in any stretch of the imagination, and he hasn't pitched since a season and a half ago plus or whatever it's been now. So I'm going to say the Phillies keep having fun. We keep having fun watching them. I need all three of y'all to say loss so we win. Abe, I wanted to, but yesterday Gint said they were going to lose. I said they were going to win, so I'm going to stick with it. I'm riding the pinstripes. Phillies win tonight. Again, I did say they get 5 across the plate last night, and they got 5 last night. I'm going to say 6 or 7. Which way do I want to lean? I'm going to say 7-4 Phillies win tonight.
Okay.
And get to 5-0 for the first time in 106 years. Do not fact check me because I have no idea if Gint's correct there. For myself, for Scotty, for Gint, thank you guys so much for watching and commenting. It's a 3-for-3 Philly night tonight. Sixers, Celtics, Phillies, Mets, Flyers, Bruins. Have a nice night, everybody.